When talking about lines and planes, it's important to remember that for lines, 2 points determine a line. And for planes, 3 points determine a plane. So now, talking about the different types of lines that we can have. Lines can be parallel. Make sure you have arrows at the ends of your lines because they're going on infinitely in both directions. Parallel lines must be in the same plane, and it's also important to note that they never cross, they never meet. So this is how we symbolize that they're parallel. You put one arrow through each. Lines can also be perpendicular. We symbolize something being perpendicular by putting a little box in the corner here. That means it's a 90-degree angle. Again, note that perpendicular lines are on the same plane, and like I just said, they cross at 90-degree angles. Lines can also be intersecting. Intersecting lines, again, note that they're in the same plane, and they just cross paths. In one place, they intersect. It could be at any angle. Technically, perpendicular lines are a type of intersecting lines. Finally, we have skew lines. Skew lines lie on different planes, but they still will never meet. They will never intersect. So parallel lines lie on the same plane and will never intersect, but skew lines lie on separate planes, different planes, and never intersect. Now, planes can also be parallel, meaning this plane, which is going on infinitely in every direction, and this plane, which again, infinitely in every direction, will never intersect with each other. So you just draw 2 parallelograms, make sure you label them with a capital letter. Now, perpendicular planes means that they're intersecting at a right angle. They cross to form a 90-degree angle. The angle that 2 planes form with each other is called a dihedral angle. D-I-H-E-D-R-A-L angle. So we have, and in order to draw this, let's draw a line here, a line going back, a line going back, part here, and then we're going to do a little bit of a dashed line, and then our plane that's intersecting it, intersecting across the front. The back is going to be our dashed line again, and these are meeting at a right angle. Do your best to draw them, but make sure you keep in mind which ones are crossing in front and which ones are crossing in back. So, as I said, perpendicular planes are meeting at a right angle, and this angle that 2 planes form when they intersect is called a dihedral angle. Intersecting planes also are crossing paths, and they're forming a dihedral angle. Do your best to draw these, but the easiest way, draw an X. This plane is coming back, going down. This plane is cutting in from behind, so dashed line, and coming out in this direction. So you can see that they're intersecting, and the angle that they're forming, these are dihedral angles. Now, as we said before, 2 points determine a line, and when lines are intersecting, they intersect in exactly 1 point, They can't intersect in more than one point because then it would have to be curved, and that wouldn't be a line. So 1 point, and you label it with a capital letter. Now, planes intersect in a line. So an infinite amount of points because planes are going on an infinite amount of directions. So lines intersect at a point, and planes intersect at a line. Talking about whether something is collinear or coplanar. Collinear means on the same line. So if you take a line and you trace along it, you can see the points that are collinear. S, Q, and V are collinear. Let's take another example. T, S, and R are collinear. So S is collinear with R, but S is also collinear with Q. So if they fall on the same line, then they're collinear. Coplanar, obviously, then means on the same plane. Now this is a little bit more difficult to see because this is supposed to be three-dimensional, but obviously on paper it's two-dimensional. But we can see this plane, plane R, and the points that are on it. So on plane R, we have points G, B, D, F, and A. So those are all coplanar with each other. Now you can see that plane R and plane P are intersecting at this line right here. So these 3 points are on both planes. So on plane plane P, we have points C, and again we have B, D, and A, as well as point E. So those are just examples of coplanar points. And as you can see, H and I don't fall on either plane.